Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 9th of December, now it's 10 past 10 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for the day in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. There are quite a few very significant developments and news that I like to share with you for this moment, but before I start, let me wish you a nice day and a wonderful weekend. Today I'm supposed to have a day off also, but because I experienced this issue with the blood pressure during the previous week, I'm gonna stay home, and then why not make a update, really? Why not work on the project? So hopefully you will find this video interesting and possible additional short videos also. But anyway, that's been said, let's talk about news now. And first of all, short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield. According to reports from Russian media, Russian military channels and defense ministry, we can assume that there was no significant changes on any of the sectors of the front line during the previous 12 to 24 hours. Main hotspots are remaining in South Donetsk and Krasny Liman sectors of the front line. When it comes to Krasny Liman, last week we did see a significant increase in hostilities between the sides in this direction, and day before yesterday there was instance when casualties on the Ukrainian side in Krasny Liman direction was higher than in Donetsk sector of the front line, which is usually most difficult sector and most intense sector on the front. And even though we are not seeing yet significant changes on the line of contact in Krasny Liman direction, which is this area, dear friends, from Seversk and Liman to this forestry, entire this square, really. Even though there are no significant changes on the line of contact, as we can see, intensity of artillery duels, local scale skirmishes and offensive operations increasing on daily basis, which we may take as a preparation of the ground by Russian side for upcoming possible large-scale offensive operation. When it comes to Donetsk sector of the front line, of course, main hotspots are Bakhmut and its flanks, northern one and southern one, in which initiative, of course, in Russian hands, and Russian forces are regaining control over all the territories that Wagner PMC used to hold when Bakhmut did become under Russian control. And of course, Avdiivka is also a hotspot. This city is in operational encirclement, and the situation for Ukrainian garrison is becoming more and more dramatic or difficult as time goes by, and it's a regular instance now when Ukrainian units from different brigades on daily basis are recording videos and are complaining that they have issues with the munition, they have issues with reinforcement, with supply and so on, which is quite understandable because city is almost encircled, it's in operational encirclement, and nothing can go in and out of Avdiivka without being noticed and targeted by Russian forces. I guess it's only a matter of several weeks and we will see final push of Russian armed forces in Avdiivka direction. And of course, the South Donetsk sector of the front is become significantly active last week. Also, main hotspots are Novomikhailivka settlement, Ugledar direction itself, and Vremovsky salient. And yet again, I did see this activization of mainly Russian forces as a preparation of the ground for upcoming large-scale offensive operations. In my reading of big picture, we will see Russian decisive actions in late January, early February, possibly, but of course Russian general staff is not sharing with me information and I could not know for sure. We can only have an informed guess, let's say, based on informations that we are receiving from open sources. When it comes to Kupiansk direction, Kupiansk sector is one of the most quiet sectors on the front at this point, and it was this way for entire previous week. Main hotspot in this area is Sinkovka Sinkovka settlement, which is disputed, I will say, between the sides. Although it don't really makes any difference, any crucial difference, which side is holding or controlling Sinkovka at this point, because Russian forces are quite some time now locked and ready to conduct large-scale offensive operations, because even if they establish control of the Sinkovka now, today, what's going to be next step? To conduct assault on Kupiansk direction, flanks have to be secured, and to make sure that flanks are secure, you have to conduct large-scale offensive. So that's why I think these local scale skirmishes are just attempt from Russian side to basically demilitarize as many Ukrainian units as possible and to minimize battle readiness of Ukrainian forces in this area. And same goes for every other sector of the front line, and so that when Russian decisive actions began, there will be minimal resistance, minimal as possible resistance, and therefore as minimal damage on the ground, as minimal casualties and damage as can be. And when it comes to, for example, Zaporozhye sector, it's most calm area at this point, if we can use this word in comparison when we are talking about line of contact. But according to numbers of casualties, for example, Zaporozhye sector definitely is one of the most calm areas. Main hotspot here is still Orekhov bridgehead, of course, Rabotina settlement, where Ukrainian forces are struggling to hold on to their foothold. And these fields in between Verbova, Novoprokopovka, and Rabotina, there was some reports that Ukrainian forces withdraw some units and regroup them in direction of Avdiivka and northern sectors of the front line. Maybe that's the case, but still, I will call situation in this area operational pause, and it's mainly Russian forces that are conducting local scale offensive operations to improve their current position. I was expecting that at some point Russian forces will encircle Ukrainian grouping of forces in Orekhov bridgehead. It may happen, it may still happen, but I don't know. If Ukrainian side did begin withdrawing its units from this area, then well, maybe it's too late now to conduct this encirclement operation. Let's see how will situation develop. And Kherson direction also quite active for last month or two, I will say, but during the previous several days we did observe significant decrease in hostility between the sides, maybe because Russian forces introduced some new type of weapons on the battlefield and make it even more difficult for Ukrainian forces to operate, even the night time. Maybe because Ukrainian units itself did realize finally that they are entering Russian trap by crossing Dnieper River. Maybe Kyiv regime did realize that they lost even media campaign when it comes to this so-called Kherson offensive or counteroffensive, and there is no longer point to conduct operations in this area. But whatever the case, maybe all these reasons are combined and each of them plays some role, but we definitely can see significant decrease in activity in this direction, although Kyiv regime is still holding to some footholds on the left bank in Krinky area here, and next to Antonovsky Bridge, destroyed Antonovsky Bridge and the railway bridge, and there are constant struggle between the sides for control of the dozens of islands in Dnieper Delta and the river itself. But I will definitely say at this point that Ukrainian forces run out of steam when it comes to activities in Kherson direction, and I expect that hostilities between the sides will decrease even more in next week. Probably Russian side will eliminate Ukrainian footholds, at least in Krinky. If this area are no longer working as a trap, it has meaning for Russian side to allow Ukrainian forces to stay on the left bank in some areas as long as trap is working. But if that's no longer the case, then I guess next week probably Ukrainian forces will be out of Krinky, and maybe Russian side will concentrate in Oleshki direction next to eliminate Ukrainian small foothold next to these destroyed bridges, Antonovsky Bridge and Railway Bridge. And this is it when it comes to short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield. During the nighttime, Russian forces conducted drone and missile strikes on logistical and military infrastructure of Kyiv regime, and during the day, I guess Russian Defense Ministry will share with the public additional information about results of these strikes. Several regions of Ukraine was targeted, or let's say, or I will say, military and logistical infrastructure of Kyiv regime was targeted in several regions of Ukraine. And well, this is it when it comes to short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield. Before I continue, let me thank you all, dear friends, for your time and attention. And of course, a special thank to members of our community who supports my work with small donations through PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. Without your support, this project, these channels will definitely not exist, and I would not have this unique opportunity to work on this field of news and political commentary. So thank you very much for your support and attention. Let's continue with additional news now, and TASS news agency is reporting that according to Russian Defense Ministry, 3 Ukrainian brigades, 5th, 63rd and 67th were targeted in Krasny Liman direction during the previous 24 hours, and as a result of these strikes and also local scale offensive operations, artillery duels, missile strikes and air strikes, Ukrainian forces lost about 290 military personnel in this direction, which is once again confirms that Krasny Liman sector is one of the most active sectors at the front line right now. RIA Novosti is also reporting that Russian artillerymen with use of Sta-S howitzers did conducted strikes on point of location of Ukrainian forces in Kupiansk direction, and as a result of this single operation, Ukrainian forces lost 15 military personnel and 1 Kazakh armored car. Kupiansk direction, even though it's relatively calm in comparison to some other sectors, hostilities are of course taking place in this area also, and according to reports from Russian Defense Ministry, in this sector during the previous week, on daily basis, Ukrainian sides suffered casualties from 50 to 70, 80 military personnel on daily basis, and quite a number of military equipment also. And main hotspot is of course Sinkovka in this area, where we can see direct clashes between the sides. RIA Novosti is reporting that Ukrainian media did confirm that as a result of night strikes from Russian forces on logistical and military infrastructure of Kyiv regime, significant damage was done to strategic infrastructure in Kherson city, and this information was confirmed by by official that was appointed by Kyiv regime in this city. So I guess Russian strike was quite successful during the previous night, although it's quite possible that Kyiv regime will come up with the usual statement that from let's say 20 Russian drones or missiles, they shut down all 20 or at least 19. That's what they usually do, and that's why you cannot take seriously any statement that comes from Kyiv. You cannot take them seriously. Even Ukrainian citizens are laughing at briefings of Ukrainian Defense Ministry and the officials. Let's continue, and this is quite interesting news, dear friends. TASS news agency is reporting, based on a statement from Russian Defense Ministry, that in Bakhmut direction, Russian units used FPV drone to target Ukrainian heavy drone Baba Yaga. That's the name of Ukrainian drone. And well, I guess maybe this is not the first instance when drones are targeting each other in air, and most likely this is not the first instance, but I wanted to share with you this information to highlight possible direction of future developments of drones and drone technologies. If now drones mainly are used for ground targeting operations and for surveillance missions, I guess next generation drones will also have a capability to conduct air-to-air combat against other drones, which is well, quite interesting. This conflict between Russian and Ukrainian forces, between Moscow and Kyiv regime, between Moscow and the Western ruling class, definitely demonstrated first time in modern history a significant shift in warfare, because it's the first time that drones have been used this intensively in the battlefield. Let's continue, and TASS news agency is reporting that Dimitri Pisco, press spokesman of Russian president, did comment on statement of US official who said that in Washington plans to force Russia in 2024 to agree on negotiations with Kyiv on terms that will be acceptable for Kyiv regime, for Zelensky and his associates, or whoever will be in the charge in Kyiv for that moment. And well, Peskov reacted on it, and quite diplomatically, really. You cannot take these kind of statements from Washington or whatever the capital seriously, of course, but he was quite diplomatic still, and he said that, well, this is not realistic. This is absolutely not realistic, that anybody can force Russia to take to do anything on the terms that is not acceptable to Russia itself. And well, in reality, we all know, I guess, what will happen sometime in upcoming 3 to 6 9 months time. Russia will probably lay down its ultimatum for major Western capitals, for ruling class of the West, let's say this way. And I guess Western elites will be forced to agree on Russian terms. And well, that's how this conflict is gonna end. And Ukraine itself will be divided, I believe, between the sides. Vast majority of Ukraine, directly or indirectly, will be controlled by Moscow, by Russia, and the western regions of Ukraine will be controlled by a Western ruling class, because those territories in the Western regions will eventually be reintegrated into Poland, Hungary, Romania, and possibly Slovakia, because Western regions of Ukraine used to be part of those countries before Second World War. But when it comes to these statements from US, from Washington, that they will force Russia to agree on some terms of Kyiv regime, this is, I mean, this is statements that cannot be taken seriously. Of course, TASS news agency is reporting that according to Times newspaper, British Times newspaper, Ukrainian forces are experiencing immense shortage of munition in Avdiivka area. This was said by artillerymen of 47th Brigade of Armed Forces of Ukraine that are operating in Avdiivka direction. And well, this is not a surprise for us, maybe for Western audience, for significant part of Western audience. that used to this propaganda of the Western media and Western ruling elites that Kyiv regime is winning and Moscow will fail, like if not today, then tomorrow. For that part of Western audience, this type of informations may be kind of surprised, because they was expecting that, probably that Kyiv regime will take control over Moscow, sometime in the future. But now they are receiving informations on daily basis that, wow, something is not exactly going in the way that they were told for many, many months prior by their own elites and their own media. But well, that's the reality. For us, there is no surprises that Ukrainian forces in Avdiivka are experiencing shortages of munition, not just munition, but also there is no reinforcement in this area, no rotation in that area, and many Ukrainian units are complaining about it, and there are shortages in supply and support of any sort, because city is in operational encirclement. And once again, dear friends, we are talking about Avdiivka, and just look at this map. This is pro-Ukrainian map, dear friends, and even here you can clearly see that city is in operational encirclement. This opening here, it's only several kilometers wide. So for artillery, this is not, it's nothing. Artillery can strike just in any point here, anytime. And that's why Ukrainian forces in Avdiivka are experiencing shortages of everything. And I believe it's only a matter of time, weeks, and we will see large Ukrainian units on the scale of battalions will lay down arms and surrender. That's my understanding of the situation. Let's see if I'm reading big picture correctly. There was instances when big number of Ukrainian forces were surrendering in this area, according to reports that we see, up to 100 and 150 military personnel, but this is still not the scale that I expect. I think on the level of battalions, Ukrainian forces will surrender in this area, in hundreds and in thousands. Let's see, it's only a matter of a few weeks. And the next news is about Ukraine also. John Kirby, official representative of Washington, did make statement that there is no progress in negotiation between Republicans and the Democrats about military aid for Ukraine, about this Biden's package, aid package. A combined aid package for Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan, and for border security, which is at this point 111 billion. Initially, there was talks about 105, 106 billion, but yesterday I did read that it's 111 billion now. But well, according to Kirby, whatever the sums, whatever the amount of money Biden is requesting, Democrats and Republicans are nowhere near to achieve any agreement for this moment. And according to informed source of RIA Novosti, Russian news agency, there is very little chance that U.S. congressmen, U.S. lawmakers in Congress will achieve any agreement on Biden's aid package in upcoming weeks or before end of this year even. So let's see how the situation develop. You know my take on this topic. I think U.S. military-industrial complex will use all its influence not to lose this last big paycheck from Ukrainian story, and therefore at some point U.S. congressmen will probably agree on this Biden's initiative. Although numbers can be corrected. For example, funds for Israel may increase, but funds for Ukraine may decrease from 61 billion to, let's say, 30 or 40 billion. But still, we all know that significant part of this money eventually will end up on bank accounts of U.S. military-industrial complex and partially on bank accounts of corrupt U.S. officials, isn't it? So even if they will agree on 30-40 billion for Ukraine, it's still a lot of money, really. Still a lot of money. But anyway, let's continue. RT is reporting that, according to Washington Post, which has published article about Ukraine again, and it's daily stuff for Western media outlets now to publish some, let's say, pessimistic articles about entire this Ukrainian story and perspectives of Kyiv regime. Yet again, that's a preparation of the ground for inevitable, because we all know that these big media outlets in the West, they all are working under direct control of Western ruling class. So whenever you see some narrative have been pushed by the Western media, you know straight away that this is done for some reason. Western ruling elites are preparing ground for something, and in this case, they are preparing ground, of course, to distance themselves from Kyiv regime and entire this mess that they create in Ukraine. And well, in this article, Washington Post did articulate that Kyiv regime is experiencing significant difficulties when it comes to mobilization because Ukrainians are refusing to fight for corrupt government. And let's read several sentences. Draft age Ukrainians are unwilling to fight for President Vladimir Zelensky's corrupt government and avoid conscription through bribery, forgery, and perilous attempts to flee to neighboring countries. The Washington Post reported on Friday, within days of Russian troops entering Ukraine, Zelensky ordered the country's borders sealed for men aged 18 to 16, stationing extra guards along the frontiers to stop potential soldiers from leaving. Now, with Zelensky's former aide claiming last week that Ukraine has lost as many as 300,000 soldiers, fresh men are in short supply. Honestly, we need more soldiers. The professional military personnel are running out. An assault team leader with Ukraine's 68th Brigade told the American newspaper. Well, yet again, for us, dear friends, this is nothing new in this article, but for Western audience that were receiving information just from propaganda outlets of the Western ruling class, they yet again may be surprised because they were probably expecting that Kyiv regime gonna defeat Russia and maybe, I don't know, take control over the Moscow or some other nonsense. I don't know what they were believing in, and for them, this type of information may be surprising, of course, but we all knew perfectly well. We see dozens and dozens, at this point hundreds of videos, by the way, on internet of kidnapping of Ukrainian military-age men on the streets, in the shops, just you name it, just about everywhere. And then those forcefully mobilized people were sent to front, and it's still the same in Ukraine. Nothing has changed. Maybe Washington Post only now receive order to highlight this issue, but we all knew this was happening there for, I don't know, forever, really. But anyway, let's continue. I began talking about shortages in Ukrainian armed forces, I don't know, man. Maybe a year ago, because it was just too obvious already that Ukrainian side were having significant issues with the manpower. Anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that Kalashnikov Corporation, concern of Russia, did introduce and began deliveries to army new set of gear, personal protective gear, and uniform for Russian soldiers, and that's how it looks, dear friends. I guess this set has been done with the experience of special military operations. So if that's the case, then hopefully Russian forces will receive much more comfortable and much more protective and useful gear, useful uniform and protection from now on, which is yet again good step forward for Russian armed forces. RIA Novosti is reporting that well, bad news for Kyiv regime is not ending, dear friends, and not slowing down. According to reports in Ukrainian media, in Russian media, Kyiv Metro have been flooded. Kyiv Metro have been flooded. I did share information on my Telegram about it. Let me read. So in Kyiv, several metro stations were flooded due to depressurization, writes Strana UA, that's a Ukrainian media outlet, citing the city's military administration. In Kyiv, metro traffic was closed at 6 stations of the Blue Line from Demevskaya to Teremkov stations, the publication says. It is clarified that after the flooding, soil displacement occurred, which threatens the stability of the tunnel structure up to their collapse. Repair work may take up to 6 months. So, well, I guess the Soviet era constructions in Ukraine are beginning to crumble because of the lack of maintenance, and well, that's a result. As I said many times before, and not just me, by the way, Kyiv regime is the most corrupt regime in the world. And whatever funds was allocated, for example, for maintenance of Kyiv's Metro, most likely was stolen. And as a result, 6 stations now are closed because of the flooding and the risk that tunnels will collapse. That's it. RT is reporting that Hunter Biden's Ukraine pay dropped after Trump took office, according to latest reports. So US President Joe Biden's son suffered a sharp cut in the pay from Ukraine's Burisma Holdings when his father left office as vice president in 2017, and Donald Trump administration took charge in Washington. And well, his paycheck was cut in half. He was receiving $1 million for nothing, basically just because he was a son of Biden, and he was providing corrupt link between Burisma and Biden. Vice President Biden at the time. And well, after Trump became president, paycheck for Hunter Biden was cut in half. He was receiving $500,000 dollars a year for basically nothing, just for being corrupt link, just to being link in this corrupt connection between Burisma and Biden. And dear friends, I remind you that Biden's administration, Biden's family, and class that are standing behind them, including some energy companies in the US, they were hoping that they will manage to begin large-scale operations in Donbass area when it comes to gas, because not so long ago, of course before special military operation, but about 10 years ago, if I'm remembering correctly, geologs did discover that ground especially in the Donbass area, in the eastern Ukraine, are full of gas. And with fracking technology, because eastern Ukraine is very rich in coal. This region is famous for being a coal producer. So where is the coal? You always have gas in high quantities. And with fracking technologies, these energy companies would be able to to produce very high volume of gas, and then pump it to Europe. That's in my understanding was a plan for clans and energy companies that were standing behind Biden. And Burisma, by the way, was involved in this stuff, and Burisma had licenses, if I'm not mistaken, to work in the eastern Ukraine, in Donbass, using fracking technology. And we are talking about billions and billions of cubic meters of gas, dear friends. There is enormous volume of gas trapped in the soil, in the crystallized form beneath the surface there. And it did not work. It did not work as a result of special military operation. Initially, as a result of internal conflict between Kyiv regime and the Donbass, Burisma and this U.S. contractor, U.S. investors, let's say, including Biden's family, they were unable to begin operations in the eastern Ukraine to extract this gas. And then 2022 happened. Special military operation, after which Lugansk People's Republic almost entirely under Russian control now, almost entirely, and Donetsk People's Republic will in fairly short time will become under full Russian control, and the entire southern eastern part of Ukraine at least from Kharkiv to Odessa. So this project that Biden, his clan and U.S. energy companies had to extract the gas from eastern Ukraine went into drain. And that's why maybe they are so upset. That's maybe one of the reasons why Biden and his administration is so crazy when it comes to Ukraine. They cannot digest that they lost possibly hundreds of billions of dollars. So just think about it, what is the reason that Biden's administration is so crazy about Ukraine? That's the reason, one of the reasons, dear friends. It's personal for them, because they potentially lost hundreds of billions of dollars. That's how rich eastern Ukraine are with the gas. And I remind you, dear friends, that this region is very rich with coal also. But if coal is, according to Western ideologies, a past, then gas is definitely modern days and the future also. And they will definitely destroy entire eastern Ukraine with these fracking technologies and poison soil there. But they will definitely make dozens and dozens and dozens of billion by selling this gas, using already existed pipeline network in Ukraine to sell gas directly to Europe. And it did not work. And that's why they all are so crazy about Ukrainian story. Biden, his administration, and whatever clans are standing behind him, that were hoping that they're gonna make these hundreds of billions of dollars out of eastern Ukraine. But anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting, and this is quite important, not surprising, but quite important news. RIA Novosti and many other media outlets are reporting that Putin did announce yesterday during his conversation with one of the heroes of Russia, who was participating in special military operation and was honored as a hero of Russia. So during this conversation, Putin did confirm that he will participate in presidential elections in 2024, which will take place, which will begin on 17th of March and will continue and last for 3 days. Oh, it will begin, on 15th of March and will end on 17th of March. So it will be 3-day election, 15th, 16th, and 17th. And not surprisingly, there was no surprise that Putin will announce about his participation. Also, not surprisingly, he will of course receive majority of votes because, well, he is the most popular politician in Russia and second in popularity, probably behind him by, I don't know, man, 40 points, if not more. Just yesterday, I did share in my main update that according to latest data, Putin's approval rating is somewhere around 70%. So how anybody gonna compete with him on presidential elections, I have no idea. Maybe parliamentary opposition parties will come up with one candidate to at least performs more or less okay level, because if they all of them, and there is 5 parties right now in parliament, it's Единая Россия, United Russia, it's Справедливая Россия, Just Russia or Fair Russia, LDPR, Liberal Democratic Party of Russia, and Communist Party, of course, and the New People, that's the name of another party. And if all of them will come up with their own candidates, then they will receive, I don't know, from several percent to candidate from Communist Party will probably receive like, I don't know, man, 10-15% of votes, maybe 20. But and that's it, really. And that's it. So if they will come up with one candidate, they may at least perform more or less okay. But if all of them will have separate candidates, then, I mean, well, they're not gonna have a chance anyway. But with one candidate, they will at least perform in a decent level. Let's say this way. Although, of course, all the parties will use to promote their own people during this presidential election. They will use these elections as a free advertise for maybe for new faces in their parties, so that entire Russia will get know them. That's also possibility. So, you know, let's see how it will go. But when it comes to elections itself, well. There is nobody at this point in political field in Russia that can compete with Putin. It's just how it is. Anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting about quite interesting topic. It turns out that Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia was planning to visit London prior to visit of Russian president, and he cancelled his visit to London to prepare for Putin's visit, according to reports in the media. Financial Times did a report about it, and well, this is interesting. This is interesting because I remind you, dear friends, that Putin was received during his recent trip to United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia. He was received very friendly, very in top level, I will say. Both United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia demonstrate that they see Russia as a strategic partner and a friendly nation, of course. And this is very important because we are talking about crucial states, not just in the Middle East, but I will say in the world scale, because Saudi Arabia is a major oil producer country, and United Arab Emirates are becoming second Switzerland for this world, because Switzerland original has lost its credibility, lost its reputation as a neutral state, and as because of these anti-Russian steps. I mean, let's say reputation of Switzerland was in jeopardy even before that, because of cooperation, or basically not just cooperation, but Switzerland kind of become a asset of finance ministry of US. Whatever US finance ministry was telling to Swiss government, they were doing it. And and the Swiss banking system began losing its attractiveness to world. So its status as a neutral state was in jeopardy already, but since this sanctions wars was waged on Russia by Western ruling class, and Switzerland did become a part of it and participate one way or another in this anti-Russian actions, of course, it lost all the credibility, all the remnants of credibility that it had. No one sees Switzerland as a neutral state no more, and that's why United Arab Emirates becoming a hotspot now when it comes to world finances. And I guess United Arab Emirates will retake or take position of Switzerland in this part of the world. It's just inevitable at this point. It's absolutely inevitable, and that's why it was very important that new Switzerland of modern days, United Arab Emirates, and a major player when it comes to energy market, Saudi Arabia, did receive Russian leader with open hands and greeted him on top level, demonstrating their where they are, where they're standing. And this information just confirms this, that Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia was planning to visit London, but he said, you know what, okay, I can go to London sometime later. Let's have a meeting with Putin and have some negotiations. It's more important. And it is more important because London is also becoming less and less relevant. And I guess United Arab Emirates will retake positions of London city of London also. So Switzerland as a financial center and the city of London as a financial center will definitely lose its relevance. They are already losing their relevance on the world scale, but this process will only intensify. And in 10-15 years time, probably no one will remember that at some point city of London was playing crucial role in world financial system, and Switzerland also. And I guess very same will happen with Frankfurt. It's Frankfurt, isn't it, where European Central Bank is based in Germany. Frankfurt is kind of somewhat relevant financial center, but if London and Switzerland is in jeopardy and losing positions, then Frankfurt probably already forgotten by everybody. So very interesting news, very interesting news. Once again demonstrates that world is changing in a very rapid pace, and the Western ruling class is losing to understand these changes and losing time to adapt. Let's continue. Our next big topic, of course, is the Middle East, and RT is reporting that US, dear friends, blocks UN Gaza ceasefire appeal yet again. I did share on my Telegram channel also this information, and let me read it for you. So United States exercised its veto power in the UN Security Council and blocked the draft resolution prepared by the United Arab Emirates on immediate ceasefire in the Palestinian-Israeli conflict zone. 13 of 15 Security Council members voted for the resolution, among them China, Russia, France. Interestingly, this is permanent members of Security Council. Also Albania, Brazil, Ghana, Gabon, United Arab Emirates, Malta. Malta is also interesting because of Order of Malta, which is somewhat based in Malta. Probably you all hear about Order of Malta. They are kind of descendants of Hospitallers Order that was operating during these crusades. But anyway, that's a different topic. Also Mozambique, Switzerland. Okay, they do try at least to play Switzerland's government. They're trying to play adequate. But I mean, who cares about Switzerland anymore? Ecuador and Japan. The United Kingdom obtained, unsurprisingly, and US voted against and vetoed the draft resolution. The co-authors of the project were 97 UN member countries, so it was not just UAE's proposal, but this proposal was co-author of this proposal was 97 other countries worldwide, and well, US is a permanent member of the Security Council, and they can block anything they want, like any other permanent members can. And well, you judge by yourself on which side of history US current leadership of US stands. How are you gonna be against ceasefire? Why? But and dear friends, to continue this this topic, deputy of the U.S. Representative in the UN did said that U.S. is against, openly said that U.S. is against ceasefire in the region. And China, dear friends, was very vocal during discussions in the UN. China was very vocal and accused US of double standards. When at one hand, US officials are talking about humanism and necessity to minimize casualties among civilians in Palestine, and in other hand, they are vetoing draft resolution of US for to impose ceasefire, to force sides to stop hostilities. And yet again, China has point in it, isn't it? Double standards is a way Washington operates always, not just now, but always. RT reports that Biden is pushing for 500 million arms sale to Israel. So yet again, what ceasefire, dear friends? They have to sell some arms, you know, they have to make some billions and billions. Also, you know, although of course we all know that Israeli lobby is so powerful in US that they can force any decision really that they like. That's also reality, isn't it? But anyway, let's read some sentences from this news. US President Joe Biden is quietly urging lawmakers to approve the sale of 45,000 tank shells to Israel. Reuters reported, noting that the deal is facing scrutiny and growing concerns about civilian casualties in Gaza. Worth over 500 million, the potential sale would restock Israel's arsenal of 120mm shells, which are used by its Merkava main battle tanks. Well, eventually, of course, Israel will receive, one way or another, all the necessary munition, missiles, weapons, and whatever they need. I have no doubt about it. With approval of lawmakers, Congress and Senate, or without it, but Pentagon will provide all the support that Israeli government and IDF needs. I have no doubt about it. But question is now, if Netanyahu's government and Washington are against ceasefire, and Israel is planning to receive some 45,000 tank shells, then what is going on? For what? Because this is tank shells, by the way. This is not artillery shells. And tank shells means close range battles, tank battles. And where Israel gonna use 45,000 tank shells? That's the question. When I read this information, I was thinking, I mean, why they need so many tank shells? Probably Israel already has at least similar number of tank shells in their stock, their own stock, and they will at least double it now. And for what purpose? And one may say maybe because they are preparing incursion in Lebanon, in I don't know, in Syria, in West Bank, possibly, or maybe they are preparing for battles with all the neighbors. I don't know. I cannot say nothing because I don't have some intelligence on this matter, some intelligence information, but something strange is going on for sure, because 45 tank shells, if it was artillery shells, okay, one would find the logic behind it, because artillery is operating constantly and firing at positions, but tanks are different beasts. So maybe after all we are still on the verge of regional conflict in the Middle East, and this information can be seen as an indicator that regional war is coming in the Middle East. Let's hope not. Let's hope not, but you know. TASS news agency is reporting that according to Hamas statements during the previous day, they did manage to destroy and disable 20 armored vehicles of IDF, tanks, armored personnel carriers, and so on. Yet again, we can take, we should always take these numbers that are coming from conflicting sides with a pinch of salt, but because it's a close-range urban fight, a number of damaged and destroyed military vehicles, of course, going to be quite high, because urban fight is not necessarily type of combat that tanks and armored personnel carriers are made for. Let's continue. Commerçant newspaper is reporting that Maduro, president of Venezuela, did sign decree and basically introduced to country new territories, Essequibo. And from today, according to Venezuela's stand, Essequibo is a part of Guyana. Essequibo is a part of Venezuela. And I did share this information also on my Telegram page, and let me read several sentences here. So Maduro signed decrees on the annexation of Essequibo to Venezuela. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro signed decrees on the inclusion of the western parts of neighboring Guyana, Essequibo, into Venezuela. Reports Últimas Noticias, I guess that's a newspaper in Venezuela. The region called Guyana Essequibo became the 24th state of the country. In total, Venezuelan president signed 6 documents. The first decree involves the creation of the National Commission for the Defense of Essequibo. The second is Guyana Essequibo Integrated Defense Zone. The Guyana Essequibo Integrated Defense Zone. Nicolas Maduro also signed decree on the formation of divisions of the State Oil and Gas Company, PDVSA, Essequibo, and the Venezuelan Corporation of Guyana, CVG, Essequibo. In addition, President Maduro, by decree, approved new map of Venezuela, including the territory of Guyana Essequibo into the country. Captain Alexis Rodriguez Cabello has been appointed as a sole leader of 24th state. So from a standpoint of Caracas, it's official now, and this region of Guyana is a part of Venezuela, and we are talking about this light green color area, dear friends. This orange colored area is Venezuela itself. This is Colombia here, this is Brazil, this is Guyana, and this green part, light green colored part, which is a majority of territory of Guyana, did become according to Caracas, 24th state of this country. Well, very interesting and strange developments. I never seen this type of stuff happening in Latin America before. Although there was some conflicts, of course, historically between the countries there, and well, one may hope that this development will not cause regional conflict, because I remind you, dear friends, that with the possibly exception of Cuba, Venezuela has quite difficult relationships with all its neighbors, especially with Colombia. And as we know, US has a significant influence on Colombia. And they can definitely create some, and they use Colombia to overthrow Maduro. But, you know, one may hope that, well, these developments between Venezuela and Guyana will not become, will not provoke regional war. Let's continue. Vzglyad, a newspaper, is reporting that former editor of New York Times, Barry Given, did wrote an article for National Interest, and in this article he basically suggested that Japan should become a nuclear power, and Japan should arm itself with nuclear weapons to stay on safe side and to defend itself against North Korea, China and Russia. And dear friends, because we are talking about former editor of New York Times, we are talking about CIA asset, we are talking about puppet of the ruling class of the West. And if this individual, Barry Given, is writing about it, that probably means that at least some part of US establishment is thinking very same way, that Japan should become nuclear state, which is well, not gonna be received well even in Japan itself, dear friends, because I don't think Japanese society want to become a nuclear power. They probably do remember lessons of Second World War and what happened to Japan because of the extreme ambitions of Japanese leadership at the time. And also, if Japan will become nuclear power, of course, Russia and China will be forced to conduct countermeasures. And entire Japan will become potential target for Russian and Chinese nukes. Do Japanese society really wants this? I don't think so. But one thing is Japanese society, and very different is Japanese political elite, which is controlled vastly by Washington. And well, official Tokyo may take this route, definitely, and in next 10 to 15 years transfer Japan into nuclear power, step by step. That's definitely a possibility from technological point of view. I don't think Japan will have any difficulties. They have scientists, they have nuclear reactors, they have all the technology they need to become nuclear armed state. And well, that may happen. That may happen because after all, even though since the Second World War, Japan was prohibited to have assault forces, they're supposed to have only defense force, but last 10-15 years we are clearly seeing huge increase in defense spending of Japan, and now they have aircraft carriers again. They are calling these aircraft carriers differently. They calling them helicopter carriers or amphibious ships. But whatever you're gonna call it, those ships are carrying F-35 planes. So they are aircraft carriers. And well, I guess everybody remembers when last time Japan, what happened when last time Japan had a significant fleet of aircraft carriers. Isn't it? So, well, that's possibly, you know, 10-15 years, and maybe Japan will definitely become a nuclear state. And this type of articles in the Western media on the nuclearization of Japanese military or Japan is just a preparation of the ground, I guess. The question is, then question will arise, why South Korea not to be nuclear armed state? Why? And why any other country should not have nuclear weapons then? Isn't it? And that will be end of the world, I guess, because during the Cold War there was treaties about nuclear non-proliferation, but at this point none of those treaties work. Seems like the world is in chaos, in large, and well, this is a not really optimistic place or state to be, really, when there is too much chaos and destruction. But anyway, let's continue. Let's continue where I was. Here. Japanese GDP, dear friends. Next news is about Japan also, and well, Japanese GDP plummets because, well, Japanese economy contracted by almost 3% in the third quarter of 2023, suffering its first decline in a year as inflation weighed on households' consumption and corporate investment slowed down. Well, that's the data that was published on Friday, and well, I'm no expert in Japanese economy. 3% drop in GDP in last quarter. I guess that's significant number. That significant number. It does tells us that overall Japanese economy may not be in the best shape at all. But yet again, I guess they will be okay. They will be okay. Japan is still one of the biggest economies in the world, and the main problem for Japan probably is debt. They have like 200 or 300% of debt of in comparison to GDP. So I guess at some point that's gonna be main issue for Japan, because they will find it extremely difficult to maintain that kind of debt and paying interest. But anyway, RT is reporting that Tucker Carlson comments on running as a Trump's VP, Trump's vice president. Former Fox News host Tucker Carlson has stopped short of ruling out becoming a former US President Donald Trump's vice president running mate in 2024, suggesting that he would need a directive from God to take the job if it's offered to him. Well, rumors about possibility that Tucker Carlson will be running mate for Trump is circulating for quite a while, and well, if he is offered this position, well, this tandem, Trump-Tucker, I mean, this tandem will definitely generate huge. This tandem will have huge impact on media field, of course, media sphere, and many supporters of both individuals will be happy, I guess. The question is why Carlson needs to become politician. That's the main question. Now he is free to do whatever he wants. He is successful in field of journalism, and why will he change this for political position, to become politician? But yet again, maybe he has some ambitions, you know. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe he thinks that he can change system from within. I don't think so. US system is US political system, and any political system really is too complex to be changed from within by one or two individuals. It never happened, and it will never happen. Systems, corrupt systems usually are break down, destroyed completely, and then new ones are built, because you cannot change corrupt system, because it's corrupt. It will stop you, and it will corrupt you. It will stop you, or it will corrupt you at some point. That's how those systems are operating. And well, interesting. If Trump will, I guess neolips and deep state will try to stop Trump from running for president's office. But if they fail, and if Trump will run, he will definitely win election. No doubts about it. So this will be a huge trampoline for Tucker in politics if he will begin his political career being vice president. It's gonna be a huge experience, and who knows, maybe after first term of Trump, he will become major candidate for Republican Party, and he will have his 2 more terms. But that's possibility, and well, if they have a combined plan, potentially in 15 years, first 1 term for Trump and let's say 2 terms for Carlson, in 15 years time, they may achieve something really. Who knows? But anyway, let's continue. Although as I said, man, you cannot change system from within. It's just, I don't think it's possible even. But yet again, I mean, I may have one opinion, and other people may have other opinion. I may be mistaken, isn't it? RT is reporting that 82% of Germans disapprove of current government, which is not surprising. Olaf Scholz has the lowest approval rating for a chancellor since the survey began in 1997. Not surprisingly, I applaud nerves of German society, man. German people are, I don't know, they have steel nerves, because this type of leadership that they have now, I mean, you need to have steel nerves to just, stay calm and don't take them out, don't take them out politically speaking. I'm not talking about some violence and stuff, of course. But well, I guess there will be elections soon, and German society will have at least slight chance to influence their political system and at least remove these idiots from the office, like Scholz, Baerbock, and rest of them that are truly shame for Germany. I mean, let's be clear here. Me personally, I don't care. If Scholz is the chancellor there, or whoever, it don't make any difference for me. But if I was German citizen, then I would of course like chancellor of my country to be, intelligent, to have some principles in the life, to be clever, for God's sake, and to work for my country, for my interests, for my citizens. And Scholz and this current government of Germany definitely does not. Anyway, let's continue. RT is reporting that Pentagon is getting oil products directly from Russia, according to Ukrainian watchdog claims. Well, that's quite interesting. A Ukrainian maritime traffic watchdog has flagged German-operated tanker, claiming that it had likely delivered Russian petrol products to Naval Station Norfolk, a major U.S. military base, in apparent violation of Washington's sanctions. The allegation, which was widely reported by Ukrainian media on Thursday, comes from Andrei Klimenko, head of Black Sea Institute of Strategic Studies, an NGO, and editor of Black Sea News, a pro-Ukrainian news outlet covered maritime trade, and he claimed that the tanker Avenka had delivered 50,000 tons of petroleum products from Russian port of Novorossiysk straight to Norfolk. That's quite interesting, isn't it? That's quite interesting that US aircraft carriers potentially are running on Russian fuel. And this base, by the way, Norfolk, is a major base for exactly for US aircraft carriers, if I'm not mistaken. So yet again, if this information is correct, then seems like it's not just Japan that avoids its own sanctions when they are buying Russian oil for $70, way above the $60 price cap that was introduced by G7 countries. But US also avoids its own sanctions and buys Russian petroleum products for its own need, and including for need of Pentagon. That's reality, man. That's reality. Politicians are doing one stuff, and then business goes as usual. It's a case in many instances, isn't it? Well, RIA Novosti is reporting that Pakistan is studying possibility to increase deliveries of Russian oil into Pakistan, which is a great news for both countries, for Pakistan and Russia, because I guess Islamabad did sees that India does makes huge profits, and India benefits significantly by becoming a major transit state between Russia and major transit place when it comes to Russian oil exports. And maybe Islamabad wants also some piece of this cake. And well, if there is a place, if they can shoot in, then well, why not? Why not? It will definitely play a good role, not just economically speaking, but also to improve relationships between Islamabad and Moscow, which is gonna be great for sure. So some interesting and good news. Also, Finance Minister of India, Nirmala Sitharaman, stated that current government of India did manage to lift from poverty 135 million people in just past 5 years. And this is in situation when India itself remains the fastest growing major economy in the world, which is true, by the way, in both cases. When it comes to statistics about 135 million, well, I guess Finance Minister of India knows better than most how many people were lifted from poverty. And when it comes to India's growth, it's definitely a major economy in the world, and one of the major economies, and are growing faster than every other major economy, faster than Chinese economy, significantly faster. So yes, great news from India. Whenever any good news from India, I'm happy, because I said many times before, dear friends, I see India as a most important strategic partner for Russia, for security reasons, for security purposes, first of all, not just as an economical partner, but also in terms of strategic security. And I think for India, Russia is the same. There may be some difficulties between the countries time to time, but when it comes to some dealings in different spheres, but generally speaking, two countries definitely have to be strategic partners. They don't really have a choice, and because they have a good history of friendliness, good history of cooperation that goes for decades and decades, it's much easier for Moscow and New Delhi to keep this strategic partnership. And few more news, dear friends, and I will end this update for today. Well, RIA Novosti is reporting that International Olympic Committee did make a decision to allow Russian sportsmen to participate in 2024 Olympic Games, although only as a neutral sportsmen without flag. So they will not present no country. They will not present Russia on Olympic Games. I think this is a mistake on part of International Olympic Committee, because if they are punishing Russian sportsmen for whatever reason, let's say for disagreement with policies of Russian government, then are they agree with policies of Netanyahu's government? These criminals in International Olympic Committee, are they agree with the Netanyahu's government and their actions? Probably they do. Probably they do. Because I did not see similar decision have been made towards Israeli sportsmen, and I don't want to see that Israeli sportsmen are not allowed to participate in Olympics as a neutral sportsmen. Of course, they should represent their country, and Russian sportsmen should represent Russia also. And Belarusian sportsmen should represent Belarus. But yet again, man, International Olympic Committee is immensely corrupt and politicized institution, tool in the hands of ruling class of the West. And I truly hope in next, before I began hating sporting events entirely, I hope BRICS nations will conduct serious negotiations with the countries outside the Western world to conduct sporting events, outside of Western ruling elites can have their sporting events in their part of the world, and the rest of the world should have its own. Because, what Olympics, man? Olympics, this disgrace called Olympics, really? Hopefully, BRICS nations will organize alternative games for the world, and Western sportsmen from the Western states should also be able to participate, of course, although I guess they will be prohibited by the governments. But they should have a right to participate if they want to and represent their countries, but it has to be alternative, man. This International Olympic Committee and the so-called international, they all use this international word, international, when in reality they are Western, let's say, Western, that they are controlled by Western ruling class. So hopefully that will happen, and we don't have to see no more these statements from these nobodies that are calling themselves leaders of Olympic movement and so on. Shut the, animals, man. Racists and Nazi animals. That's what they really are. Puppets of the Western ruling class. And well, Zakharova did react, and Maria Zakharova, official representative of Russian Foreign Ministry, reacted on this decision of so-called International Committee, Olympic Committee, and said that Russian sportsmen will make their own decisions if they want to participate in Olympics or not. Government will not intervene in any way. It's a decision of sportsmen. Some may take a principled stand and not participate in Olympics if they are not allowed to represent their countries. Some sportsmen may take different decision, and no one should be critical of them, because after all, until BRICS nations and the rest of the world will create alternative sporting events, sportsmen nowadays are basically forced to participate in these events that are organized by these fake organizations like International Olympic Committee, because they are working hard, they are working years and years and years and years to compete with the other sportsmen worldwide, and it's it's wrong to deny them such opportunity. So government will not intervene, and decision will be made by sportsmen themselves, which is right decision, absolutely, which is right decision. But yet again, I hope there will be alternative games in every sport that exists, in every created by, with support of BRICS and other truly international organizations that are not controlled by the Western ruling class. And in 5-10 years, sportsmen will have a real opportunity to participate in these games and represent their countries despite political turmoil, you know, because sports supposed to be out of politics and culture supposed to be out of politics. Anyway, let's continue. Two more news, dear friends, and that's it for this update. Interfax is reporting that Chinese rocket Chua-2 was launched early hours today and successfully launched, and the 3 satellites have been delivered to orbit, Earth's orbit. And also, dear friends, information about some scientific stuff. Specialists from NASA did manage to work on some issues on Hubble telescope, and from 8th of December, from yesterday and today, of course, Hubble telescope is in working conditions again, which is great news, because this telescope, by the way, Hubble telescope with the Chandra telescope, will of course go down in history as a instruments, tools for humanity, for great discoveries. We all seen amazing images that was created thanks to Hubble telescope, and there was amazing discoveries thanks to Chandra telescope. And now, of course, there is James Webb telescope in space, which is a unique telescope. It can see in infrared, and it already produced quite unique images. So great news for lovers of space and science. And hopefully Hubble will stay operational as long as possible. It's already did a great job, this telescope. So great news. And I will end, dear friends, I will end this update on this positive, optimistic news. Update is quite long, but hopefully you will find news that are interesting for you. And if so, please, dear friends, click that like button and leave some commentary about any topic you'll find interesting, just about anything really, and as many comments as you can. This is the only way we can fight back this immensely unfair and aggressive YouTube algorithm that does very strange stuff, manipulates with the views on videos, manipulates with number of comments and likes. Well, YouTube algorithm is broken for sure, and unfortunately YouTube administration or Google's administration don't really care about it. It's them that broke YouTube. But well, whatever the case, if you can, dear friends, please also share link to my videos or my channel with your friends. Help me spread the word. It may play crucial role to reach wider audience. And if you think this project with several channels on YouTube, Rumble and Telegram are interesting, informative, useful and deserves to exist, please consider to support my work with small donations through PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You can see links under this video in the description box or in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Have a great day, wonderful weekend, and take care.